What we are currently witnessing unfold within the frigid Arctic waters this week represents the most serious and existential challenge to British naval sovereignty since the conclusion of the Falklands conflict. This time, however, the threat is not emanating from a hostile foreign power, but rather from our supposed closest ally, who is demanding we abandon a fellow democracy to satisfy American territorial ambitions. I am Richard Conway, and I am here to reveal precisely what others refuse to see, to expose what others are unwilling to hear, and to analyze the hidden geopolitical forces that no one else seems to recognize or anticipate. What we are observing in Greenland is not just another routine diplomatic dispute. It is a full-blown constitutional crisis that will determine whether established alliance structures can survive internal threats from their most powerful members. General Sir Gwyn Jenkins, the First Sea Lord and Chief of Naval Staff, finds himself in an entirely unprecedented position. He is deploying Royal Navy assets not to defend against foreign aggression, but to protect a NATO ally from coercion by the alliance's dominant member. Jenkins brings unique qualifications to this crisis that extend far beyond traditional naval command experience. As the very first Royal Marine to serve as First Sea Lord, he combines elite special forces experience with high-level strategic naval planning. His background includes 38 years of distinguished service, beginning with the Special Boat Service, where Jenkins mastered Arctic warfare techniques that are proving invaluable in current operations. His progression through maritime special forces, amphibious operations, and strategic command positions has prepared him for exactly this kind of complex institutional challenge. The Royal Navy's deployment to Greenland waters isn't simply a routine training exercise. It represents a direct challenge to Trump's demand for total access to Arctic territories that rightfully belong to Denmark. The operational specifics of this deployment deserve careful examination. Jenkins has strategically positioned Type 26 frigates equipped with advanced sonar systems in Danish territorial waters. He is demonstrating Britain's unwavering commitment to defending established maritime boundaries against unauthorized access demands. When Trump announced his framework for Greenland control, he referenced the need for unrestricted American military access to Arctic shipping routes. These are routes that the Royal Navy has helped patrol and protect for decades under existing international agreements. The technical complexity of Arctic naval operations cannot be overstated. Jenkins's forces operate in waters where temperatures routinely drop below -40 degrees Celsius. Ice formation can trap vessels without warning, and communication systems face unique challenges from magnetic field distortions near the polar regions. Jenkins's response has been characteristically measured and professional. Rather than engaging in political rhetoric, he has positioned Royal Navy assets to demonstrate that Britain takes its alliance obligations seriously. This remains true regardless of American pressure. The constitutional implications of this deployment deserve careful analysis. Parliamentary sovereignty means that decisions about military deployments must serve British interests and democratic values. They cannot accommodate foreign demands that violate international law. This principle becomes particularly crucial when examining the legal framework governing Arctic waters. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea establishes clear territorial boundaries. These cannot be unilaterally altered through political pressure or economic coercion, regardless of which country applies such pressure. Jenkins's Arctic expertise stems from years of Royal Marines operations in extreme cold weather environments. This isn't theoretical knowledge. It is operational experience gained through decades of service in the world's most challenging conditions. His service record includes multiple deployments to Norway as part of NATO's cold weather training programs. He developed the operational protocols now being implemented in Greenland waters. This experience proves invaluable when coordinating complex multinational operations in hostile environmental conditions. The strategic importance of Arctic waters has increased dramatically as climate change opens new shipping routes. It also reveals previously inaccessible mineral deposits. But that strategic value doesn't justify territorial acquisition through economic coercion. Jenkins understands that control of Arctic shipping lanes represents a fundamental shift in global trade patterns. The Northern Sea Route could reduce shipping times between Europe and Asia by up to 2 weeks. This creates enormous economic advantages for countries that control access to these waters. What makes Jenkins's position particularly complex is the need to balance alliance relationships while defending fundamental principles. The Royal Navy cannot simultaneously serve NATO objectives and enable American territorial expansion against fellow alliance members. The timing of the Royal Navy deployment sends its own message about British institutional priorities. While Trump was issuing ultimatums and threatening tariffs, Jenkins was quietly positioning naval assets. He demonstrated continued commitment to existing international agreements. This operational approach reflects Jenkins's understanding that naval power projection requires sustained presence rather than dramatic gestures. Royal Navy vessels maintain continuous patrols in disputed waters. They provide both deterrent effect and intelligence-gathering capabilities. This approach reflects professional military leadership that prioritizes operational effectiveness over political theater. Jenkins understands that credible deterrence requires capability demonstration, not dramatic rhetoric. The broader implications for British naval strategy are profound. If American demands for total access succeed in Arctic waters, similar demands could follow in other strategic maritime regions. These are areas where British interests might conflict with American preferences. The precedent established in Arctic waters could extend to the English Channel, the North Sea, or territorial waters around British overseas territories. Once the principle of unilateral access demands is accepted, no maritime boundary remains secure. Similar coercion becomes possible anywhere. Jenkins's background as a Royal Marines officer provides crucial context for understanding his approach to this crisis. Special Forces training emphasizes mission completion despite political uncertainty. This is exactly the mindset required when alliance relationships become unreliable. His special boat service experience included operations where political objectives shifted rapidly. This required tactical adaptation while maintaining strategic focus. This background proves invaluable when managing complex operations where diplomatic and military objectives must be carefully balanced. The Royal Navy's Arctic deployment also demonstrates how maritime power can be exercised without direct confrontation. Naval presence sends clear signals about commitment and capability. It maintains diplomatic flexibility simultaneously. Jenkins's forces employ what naval strategists call presence operations. This means maintaining visible capability in disputed areas without engaging in provocative actions. Such actions could escalate tensions beyond diplomatic resolution, requiring remarkable tactical discipline and strategic patience. For British observers, this crisis should prompt serious questions about our naval independence. Can the Royal Navy fulfill its constitutional obligations when American political pressure conflicts with parliamentary decisions? The answer depends partly on maintaining technical capabilities that allow independent operations. Jenkins's investment in Arctic-capable vessels, cold weather training programs, and autonomous systems ensures effectiveness. The Royal Navy can operate without American logistical support when necessary. The institutional response, coordinated by Jenkins, reflects traditional British naval values. These include professional competence, alliance loyalty, and commitment to international law. These aren't abstract principles. They're operational guidelines that determine mission success. What's particularly striking about Jenkins's leadership during this crisis is his refusal to politicize military decision-making. He focuses on operational requirements and alliance obligations. He avoids engaging in public disputes about American policy. This restraint reflects his understanding that naval officers serve constitutional principles rather than political personalities. The Royal Navy's oath of allegiance is to the Crown and Parliament. It's not to foreign leaders demanding territorial concessions from democratic allies. This approach contrasts sharply with the political chaos emanating from Washington. Territorial demands are announced via social media without consultation with military commanders. There's no consultation with alliance partners either. The Royal Navy's Arctic operations highlight Britain's continued importance as a global maritime power. Our naval capabilities remain essential for maintaining international stability. This remains true even when that stability is threatened by supposed allies. Jenkins's deployment decisions reflect a sophisticated understanding of how naval power functions in complex political environments. Maritime presence can signal resolve while preserving diplomatic options. This is exactly what's required during a constitutional crisis. The technical challenges of maintaining effective naval operations in Arctic conditions require specialized equipment and training. Few navies possess these capabilities. Jenkins's investment in cold weather capabilities demonstrates foresight that proves crucial during current operations. The crisis also reveals the importance of maintaining independent military capabilities. If British naval deployments required American approval, we couldn't fulfill our obligations. We couldn't defend alliance partners from American coercion. This independence extends beyond operational decision-making to include intelligence gathering, logistics support, and communication systems. Jenkins has ensured that Royal Navy Arctic operations can continue regardless of American cooperation. They can continue despite American interference. For NATO's future, the Royal Navy's Arctic deployment represents a crucial test. Can collective security principles survive when the alliance's dominant member abandons multilateral consultation? Can they survive unilateral territorial demands? The alliance's credibility depends on demonstrating that Article 5 protections apply even when threats originate from within NATO membership. Jenkins's deployment helps establish this precedent through practical demonstration rather than theoretical argument. Jenkins's professional response to this unprecedented challenge demonstrates how military institutions can maintain constitutional authority. This remains possible even when political relationships become unstable. Naval command requires strategic thinking that transcends temporary political pressures. The broader implications for British defense policy deserve serious parliamentary consideration. Our military institutions must retain the capability and independence to defend democratic values. This must remain true even when doing so conflicts with American preferences. This requirement becomes particularly important as global power dynamics shift and traditional alliance assumptions prove unreliable. Jenkins's Arctic operations provide a template for how British forces can maintain strategic autonomy. They can fulfill international obligations simultaneously. What makes this Arctic showdown particularly significant is its potential to establish precedents for future conflicts. These conflicts pit institutional obligations against political pressure. Jenkins's decisions now will influence how similar challenges are addressed for years to come. The Royal Navy's deployment ultimately reflects a fundamental choice about Britain's role in international affairs. Do we serve as an independent maritime power defending democratic principles, or do we serve as a subordinate force accommodating American territorial ambitions? History will judge Jenkins's leadership during this crisis as either a crucial moment of successful defense or institutional failure. Either British naval authorities successfully defended alliance principles against internal threats, or military professionalism proved insufficient to constrain political coercion from dominant powers.